Hey Lighthouse family, this is Brother Brian Adams coming to you from right here in my own home. I wanted to get on board with this whole online video business and send out some love to our children today. So parents, if you can, go grab your kids right now. Yeah, go get them and tell them Brother Brian has something for them today. I wanted to share a word of encouragement with our kiddos today about a group of believers who were quarantined in their own home, just like we've been quarantined in our own homes for the last few weeks or so. And yes, you heard it right. There is a Bible story about some folks who were quarantined in their home. We're going to start our Bible story in the book of John, and we're going to be in chapters number 20 and 21. And this is where we find where Jesus had just most recently given his life on the cross, and he had spent 3 days in the grave and has now risen to show himself to his apostles. But he finds his apostles are behind locked doors, quarantined in their own home. Now, why were the apostles quarantined in their home? Well, it was because they were too afraid to be able to go outside and be around others and spreading the gospel and the good news of Jesus, as if spreading the good news of Jesus was the same as spreading the coronavirus. Man, can you even believe that? So there they were sitting when all of a sudden Jesus just happens to walk right through the walls. And when that happened, all the apostles that were sitting there in their room, Jesus comes in and just appears where they are, and it absolutely scares them to no end. And they were like, Jesus, I mean, you could have given us just a little bit of a warning here before you come in and scare us half to death. I mean, yeah, not cool, Jesus. But Jesus said, guys, don't be afraid. Peace be unto you. And Jesus proved that it was really him by showing them the holes that were in his hands and in his feet. And he even showed them the hole that was in his side where the Roman soldiers had pushed a spear into his side while he was on the cross. And when they seen that it was really Jesus, man, the apostles were so excited about this thing because they had missed him so much. And after Jesus had spent some time visiting with them, Jesus left and they just remained there quarantined in their own home. And they stayed there for several more days, still too afraid to go outside and be seen and be around anybody else. And after a while, of course, it got so boring just being in their home and running out of things to do, running out of things to say to one another. And they were so fed up with just being confined to their homes and just being in the same space day after day after day. And all they wanted really was just to get back to normal. How nice would it be just to be able to get back out and doing the things that you used to do and doing the things that were normal to them. And I'm sure most of us can relate because, man, I am so excited just to be able to get back to things that we did before. And I'm sure some of us can relate to this as we are really excited for things to get back to normal as well. So there the Apostle Peter sat in his home and he begins to think to himself, you know what? I think I've had about all I can take of this quarantine business. I mean, I've put all the puzzles that I can together. I've colored in all the coloring books. I've played all the video games. I've watched all the YouTube videos that I can possibly stand. I've got to get out of here. So you know what? I think I'm going to go fishing. Because, before Jesus had called Peter to be an apostle, Peter was actually a fisherman by trade. That's what he did for a living. So going fishing for Peter was really like almost getting back to some things that were normal to him. Well, Peter decides to tell all the rest of the apostles that he's going fishing, and every one of the other apostles in the room says, "Peter, you get a line and I'll get a pole, darling." And Peter was like, Cool. That's cool that you'll go with me fishing, but just don't call me darling." So off Peter goes, leading his friends to where his old fishing boat is, still parked right there on the edge of the beach where he had left it before. And he and the guys, they fished all night long, but they could not catch anything. They fished all night long, but not a fish one was caught. Morning came, and there was a man standing right on the beach, and he was checking out Peter's boat that had drifted pretty close to where the shore was. And the man standing on the beach calls out to him and says, "Hey guys, how many fish have you caught?" Now, I don't know what you guys know about fishermen, but pretty much anytime you ask a fisherman anything about the fish that he's caught, you're more than likely going to get a lie. So I'm sure John, or Matthew or Andrew was ready to tell the man on the beach some big fish tale about how big the fish that they had caught was. But you know what? Peter knocked him on the shoulder and just says, "You know what, guys? Let's tell the truth this time." So he shouts out to the man standing on the beach and says, "Sir, we haven't caught anything fishing all day and night, and we are pretty much just hungry." And the man on the beach just tells him, "Why don't you try fishing on the other side of the boat?" So Peter was like, No. Hey, I don't know who you are, but I fish on the left side of the boat. That's my go-to fishing spot. I always fish on the left side of the boat. Why would I ever fish on the other side of the boat? Come on. It's the left side of the boat. But the man standing on the beach says, "Just try it. Just try fishing on the other side." Peter scratches his head for a minute and he says, "You know what? Guys, we haven't caught anything all night. And, what could we possibly lose on this? Let's just try fishing on the right side of the boat like this guy on the beach is talking about." And just as soon as they start fishing on the right side of the boat, hey, who would have known it? They caught all kinds of fish. They caught so many fish that the Bible says that their nets couldn't hardly even contain the fish that they had caught. Who would have even known that all the fish were hanging out on the other side of the boat? I know. Jesus would have known that. And that's when John reached a hold of Peter and he says, "Peter, that must be Jesus standing on the beach telling us to catch fish on the other side of the boat. Only Jesus would know this kind of thing." About that time, Peter, realizing that, yes, this must be Jesus, he climbs up on the side of the boat and gets ready to dive in. And that's about the time when John says, "Hey, Peter, grab this oar right here, grab this paddle, and help me paddle this boat back to the shore where Jesus is." And so Peter does the crazy thing, and he looks back at John and he says, "No, I ain't got time for that. I'm going to jump in this water and swim to Jesus. You take care of the boat." And about that time, Peter jumps into the ocean head first, just like he was gold medal Olympian Michael Phelps, which turned out Peter must have been a pretty good swimmer because he got to Jesus on the shore first before the other boat did. But once Peter and the rest of the apostles were there on the beach with Jesus, they see that Jesus had already prepared a campfire for them to sit around, and he was already making some breakfast for himself. Jesus was there making some biscuits and gravy right on the beach. Oh man, how good. And the apostles were like, man, Jesus, Cracker Barrel ain't got nothing on you, man. For real, you got it going on here. And Jesus says, hey guys, I tell you what, grab me some of that fish that you just caught, and I'll whip you guys up some breakfast too. Now, I don't know whether Jesus learned how to cook from his mother, Mary, or if he maybe learned how to cook from his grandmother, but I tell you what, if anybody can make some fish biscuits for breakfast and make it taste good, man, that's some fantastic cooking skills for sure. Tell me, have you ever ate a fish biscuit for breakfast? Doesn't sound very good to me, does it you? And there they all sat there on the beach, just talking and laughing and eating some breakfast together and just really just enjoying spending some time together like they used to be able to do. And that's when Jesus starts to get real serious with them. And he looks Peter right in the eyes. And 3 times Jesus says, Peter, do you love me? And Peter tried to laugh it off at first, but on the 3rd response to Jesus' question, Peter says, Jesus, my Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And that's when Jesus starts explaining to Peter that, things are really not going to get back to normal again. I mean, how could they? With everything that Peter had experienced and with everything they had gone through together through the ministry of Jesus, how could anything ever go back to normal again? But Jesus sat there on the beach and encouraged Peter by letting him know that this all was just the beginning of something that was really special and something that would be greater than anything that Peter had experienced before. No, nothing could ever go back to normal again, but everything was about to get so much bigger and so much better than it ever had been before. Youngins, listen to Brother Brian this morning when I tell you that I know that we're anxious to get back to a normal routine, but honestly, I doubt that anything will be back to normal for quite some time. And really, it shouldn't. I think what we've learned and what we've experienced in the last few weeks through the quarantine and with the social distancing, my goodness, from here, it should only get greater. It should only get better. And the things that we do and the things that we have learned, the values that we have learned, really, we should put these things into reality. We should put these things into practice because, my goodness, how could we take something that we've learned like this and just go back to normal? No way that we can do that together. My friends, we have learned so much through this process of the last few weeks. And honestly, the things that we're learning we're learning how much we miss giving our older family members a hug. And we're missing how much fun it is to hang out with our friends and play sports together and be in school together. We're all missing being able to go to a restaurant and sit down with our friends and have a meal together. And most importantly, we're learning how much we have missed being together with our church family. Oh my goodness, we have learned so much through this process. And we're learning that the things that we've been missing out on for the last several weeks are really the things that we value most in our lives. Youngins, listen to Brother Brian right now. When all this quarantine business is over and all the social distancing stuff is behind us, we can never go back to just being normal again. But we will move forward into spending our time doing the bigger and greater things that we've learned really truly matter to us. So tell me, what are some of the great big things that you want to do just as soon as this quarantine and social distancing is over? Drop me some comments and leave me some messages on this thing. I want to hear from you. And next week, when we do another video, I'm going to be reading your comments, and I'll be telling who the comments are from. So help me out, parents, and drop me some comments about what your kids are saying they want to do first. Will it be going out to see some family members that they've not seen in a while? Or are they planning a big party with their friends to hang out? Or maybe it's just simply, I can't wait to go to church and be around my friends. Whatever their comment is, please let me know, and please post their comments here online. Hey, I sure do miss you guys, and I love you very much, and hopefully we can get together soon. But in the meantime, it's great to be able to be in front of you today. It's great to be able to spend some time with you, and be safe out there, be healthy, and kids, be obedient to your parents because they need that. They need you to be obedient. All right, love you guys. We'll catch you next time on the next video. Peace out.